All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning for us here in Texas. Good afternoon to you, or good evening, whenever you're listening. My name is Junior Duran. This is the Confessing Baptist Dunker Bunker, your headlines for all things 689, the week of March. Well, today we're recording, and it's March 5th. And with me is my co-host.
Jason Delgado. So,
Welcome, Jason. How are you today? Happy anniversary to you and to the Mrs. Delgado.
thank you, thank you. It's been a
10 years
decade.
ago today.
Yep,
Yeah.
10 years. So craziness.
Yeah. Was the weather that day like this, like today?
No, we actually had an
Do you remember?
outdoor wedding. There was fountains, and the sun was out, and I had a full suit on and my
Mariachis were
Converse, and
singing. Yeah.
mariachis were singing. Yeah, you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was a Mexican wedding, dude. Whew, it was a party. Good
That
stuff. Yeah,
sunset, it
it's
was
not like
beautiful.
today. We got, I'm guessing 5 or more inches of snow, which
Yeah.
is really rare for us,
Easy.
anyways. But yep. But
Yeah.
anyways, with that, why don't we dive into the headlines? You want to kick us off with the news?
All right. So first out is the new Gerbs hardcover is, and again, Gerbs. I'm sorry for those of you who don't know, the Journal of the Institute of Reformed Baptist Studies. This is volume two. Volume one, of course, is last year, and I've been looking forward to this because, well, let's look at the content. So here's the articles. Scopa Scriptura, John, this is by Richard Barcelos, and more Latin stuff. I can't read. What's that say, Jason?
Um,
Peditio verbi Dei est verbum Dei.
yeah.
The preaching of the
Thankfully,
Word of God is the Word of God.
yeah. There you go. I was gonna say,
And that
thankfully, there's the translation.
translation, yeah. Hunter Bulliger and the Second Helvetic Confession, beautiful document by Ronald Baines. Oh yeah, and by the way, so go back to that first article by Richard Barcelos. John Owen, Nehemiah Cox, from your early disciples on Christ as a scope of Scripture. And then Samuel Renahan, oh, I'm sorry, skip one, James Renahan, sufficient, certain, and infallible, in Scripture. Okay, so this is an article I've been looking forward to. So Sam Renahan, Dolphins in the Woods, a critique of Mark Jones and Ted Van Rout's presentation of particular Baptist covenant theology, and that's found in the Puritan
Puritan
Theology,
theology. Yep. Yeah,
and
it's
Doctrine
really
of Life
good.
by Joel Beakey and Mark Jones. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and Mark Jones and those two. So it's a critique of that. And Christ, this is by Stephen Weaver, Dr. Steve Weaver. Christ spiritually present and believers spiritually nourished. The Lord's Supper in the 17th century English, particularly Baptist life. And then there's some book reviews. I don't know if we're going to go
Nah, you don't have to. There's a lot of book reviews. We link to them on the post. I have had the chance to read this already. It's excellent. It's really good. Yeah, especially you, Junior, you'll really like that one that Sam did on Dolphins in the Woods. Excellent, excellent stuff. Um, I enjoyed every article. When I got to James Dozell's, man, it blew my mind. It's dealing with, but it'll definitely lead you
Oh
to
yeah, it was that,
doxology.
of
So.
course. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Time and eternity and dealing with God and things like that. So really, really good stuff. And actually, if you, I already have it scheduled to post. It's all already done, and I don't even have to touch it right now. It is Tuesday. Our interview podcast will be with Dr. James Renahan about this new journal, and it's pretty extensive. I think it wound up being like an hour and 15 minutes. The first
Oh
half,
wow.
he really kind of just talks about gerbs in general, and then we go into each article, kind of give a summary. We also go into the book reviews and whatnot. So you'll get a lot of info there. So I also think if you have already ordered it, that it'll be a good supplement too. So if you're like, oh, I already ordered it, why would I want to listen to this? He brings out some other stuff on why it's important and some reasons articles are put in there. So full stuff. So for that, and as well, James Renahan has already said that this will come out on Kindle soon. So I remember last year it took a couple months before it came out on Kindle, and also probably within a week it'll be available from at rbap.net. Usually it's cheaper there, and they get
Right.
more profit from it, or it helps them out more. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Helps them out. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Well, with that, before we get into the news, I don't think we posted any events. I wanted to highlight some of the events that are coming out this month. Well, actually, I did post one this morning, March 25th, 2015, answering questions on Islam and Christian baptism. That's featuring Dr. James White, and this is in Jacksonville, Florida. So if you're in that Florida area, he's there for this week. This is a special event happening at Sovereign Grace Family Church. So we posted all the details there. Also, there's going to be a bookstore provided by Solid Ground Christian Books there. So always great deals there. So you can check that out. That is free. I think they want you to kind of register so they can just know how much donuts and coffee or something like that to bring, because it's going to be in the morning. 8:15 a.m. is when the doors open, and it begins at 9. So that is early for some of us. So check that out. I also want to let you know, yeah, very early for me. Like our church, since we meet in another church's building, we don't even have service till 3. So, whew, if we told them we were doing something like Sunday at 8 a.m., and there'd be no one there. Anyways, other events coming up that we've already let you know about, I just wanted to highlight them again to kind of put them on your radar. March 10th through the 12th, 2015, The Law of God in a Lawless Age. That's the Greenville Seminary Spring Theology Conference. March 10th through April 28th is a free live stream of Chris Holmes on the history of preaching and preachers. That's the Covenant Baptist Theological Seminary course that you can stream for free. March 21st, 2015, Christianity and Islam Considered, a dialogue about the Bible and the Quran with James White and Imam Muhammad Musri. This is at RTS Orlando, there again in Florida. And March 23rd, see, this is what I'm saying. If you're in the Florida area during this week of March, you can get a lot of James White on a wide variety of subjects too, because this is the Credo Baptism versus Paedo Baptism, Greg Strawbridge versus James White debate that is happening in Altamonte Springs, Florida. We talked about that last week also. So also 2 more events happening in March. March 26th to the 28th is God's Strange Work in Our Afflictions. That's the Reformed Baptist Family Camp featuring Steve Martin in Palestine, Texas. March 26th to the 28th is How Shall They Hear Evangelism in Today's World. That's featuring, again, James White. Man, he's everywhere this month. James White, Earl Blackburn, and Jeff Pollard in Milton, Florida. So if you're in Florida and this month, there's a good chance you will, or James White will be around you, stalking you. So there you go. Whew, that was a mouthful.
Awesome. So, yeah, so on to the books. All right, so this is some Kindle deals. There's quite a bit of deals, I think, today on this this week's post. So this first one, again, one of my favorite apologists, like preachers, pastors, authors, Dr. Vodi Vakum, The Ever-Loving Truth, Can Faith Thrive in a Post-Christian Culture? Again, this is a Kindle deal, so you get it for 99 pence or 99 cents. That's a good deal. And I just, after I saw this, Jason, I went to Amazon, clicked on the links, and then I added a bunch of other Vodi Bakum books that I just saw out there. I just noticed out there.
Oh, nice.
And,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and his expository. I think there's a delay in us talking.
Yeah, because your curse words.
Wow. Google is auto.
No, I was just say that if you haven't heard or listened to his interview, I think it was on homosexuality a while back. I think it was on the RAND network. But he's really good apologist on Christian thought and faith and practice. And so I'm really impressed, and that's why I want to get his stuff, his books, and see how he puts things together.
Yeah, and in just a month or two, he will be releasing that book on expository apologetics. So that should be excellent stuff as normal. Another ebook deal is for $2.99 or £1.99, Perspectives on Church Government, and this is featuring James White as well as several other perspectives on church government. And we've talked about that before. It's just this week again, it's on sale, so we just wanted to notify you guys of that. What else do we got in books, Junior?
Well, we got, and I'm looking forward to this too. I need to pre-order this. Solid Ground is doing a pre-order. Going beyond the 5 points and talking about Calvinism. 40% off if you order by March 15th, which is just a couple weeks, not that long away. Again, 40% off the pre-order for Going Beyond the 5 points. And this is, it features Dr. Barcelos, Dr. Sam Waldron, Earl Blackburn, Dr. Robert Martin, forward by James White, has some recommendations, Jim Savastio. So Going Beyond the 5 points, the general editor is Rob Ventura. $15, I think, right now with the sale price. But that looks really good. And we should probably get it, Rob Ventura. We've interviewed him before.
Yeah.
On another book, but or one of these other guys, contributors, or maybe do like a forum, like a roundtable with the authors. But
that would be.
And
cool.
My assumption is it's about the professionalism, rather. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's one of the topics in it. Some of the other topics include the Ten Commandments and the law of God in a Christian's life,
Right.
um, Sabbath issues, covenant theology. Earl Blackburn wrote that chapter and whatnot. So yeah, it's really cool. I've started reading it. I have advanced copies. That way we can do an interview and whatnot. And James White gives a great little intro on it, which you can actually read. Reformed Baptist Seminary posted the intro. You can find that on their link there. And yeah, excellent stuff. So Rob Ventura already agreed to do an interview on it. So I'll see if I can try to get some of those other guys to talk about their stuff. So really good stuff. So just a really encouraging book to kind of to give to someone who's really excited about the 5 points of Calvinism, and for you to be like, hey, keep going, brother. As James White puts it in his introduction, this is the first rung of the ladder of Reformed theology. That the 5 points of Calvinism, that's just the first rung. There's many more. Keep going. So really good stuff. Also, we had previously talked about the book, The New Calvinism Considered by Jeremy Walker. We've also had him on. Now we've interviewed him about that. And he wrote, in his own words, a reluctant and brief follow-up to his book, The New Calvinism Considered. And this was in light of all the recent happenings with Mark Driscoll. I don't think we have to name what all those are. He kind of gives a couple paragraphs, give you a really high overview, brief summary of what they were. And then he wants to draw out lessons that we can learn from this. I think he has a lot of wisdom. He's very gracious in his dealing with the Mark Driscoll situation. But here's some of the principles. Let's see, how did he put it? He says, so what principles are enforced and what lessons should we learn from this situation? He says, we should learn the value of a robust ecclesiology. We should learn the importance of maintaining biblical standards for pastoral ministry. We should learn the necessity of real friends. We should learn the significance of true repentance. We should learn the blessing of doctrinal standards. We should learn the ugliness of celebrification. I guess that's like celebrity pastorism. I've not seen that word. We should learn the worth of hearing our critics. Finally, we should learn the danger of our own circumstances. And with each of those points, he gives a paragraph or two, or sometimes three. So really excellent stuff. And some of the stuff is stuff we also talked about when we interviewed him on episode 35 of our own interview podcast. Obviously, this situation hadn't happened yet, so we didn't see in the future. But it's excellent stuff, as always, from Jeremy Walker. So want to let you guys know about that.
Here's another Kindle deal. This is a good book. It's on baptism. It's one of those views and viewpoint books. So this is Understanding Four Views on Baptism. And for the Baptists, it features Tom Nettles. For the Paleo Baptists, it features Richard Pratt, Dr. Richard Pratt. Again, Understanding Four Views, £1.99 or $1.99. You want to sign those while they're available because they go quickly. Not the books or the Kindles, but the e-formats, but the sales. The sales they come and go.
Indeed they do. Indeed they do. Well, that brings us to audios and videos. This week, one of the audios that we posted was Earl Blackburn. He was interviewed recently on No-Co Radio, that's No Compromise Radio, with Pastor Mike Abendroth. And let me write you the kind of summary. When they publicized this one, they said, oh, Earl Blackburn was on to talk about marriage, but he talked about so much more. This is kind of how I summed it up. He explains why his Twitter handle is Earl of Blackburn. That's a really funny story. Someone actually thought he was an Earl when he told him his name was Earl Blackburn, and so he was in England somewhere, and he was treated like an earl. Really funny story. He talked about what ministry is like in various places that he has served, covenant theology, particularly the covenant of redemption. Let's see, what else did he talk about here? We're using this new scripting thing, and it refreshes on me sometimes. He talked about Christian bookstores, and then he talked about his books. He focused a little bit on John Christendom, Jesus Loves the Church, and So Should You. And with that, they kind of ran out of time because it was a radio format, but they said they'll have him on again. So it's 25-minute MP3. Really good stuff. You'll definitely want to check it out.
It was good, but it was kind of short. 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So up next is the Internet Debate of the Year so far for 2015. This is a YouTube video of the Joel McDurmon versus J.D. Hall theonomy debate. Of course, Joel McDurmon being for theonomy and J.D. Hall being against the motion. This took place in February, so just not that long ago. at Tempe, Arizona, Arizona Community Church. And since there have been, we'll get more into that later on, I think. They'll come back up again. So, but there's a video, the YouTube video.
Indeed, indeed, that will come back up again. Another post we had done, this one we've been promising you for a while, but the series got extended. It was going to be 4 parts, now it's 6 parts, and it is complete now. It's Sam Renihan's God Without Passions, 6-part audio, and in it, actually, we have a new contributor who's helping us post some of the audio. This is Luke, I was going to say Luke Stamps, that's not his name, my mind just went blank. Anyways, Sam Renihan, pastor of Trinity Reformed Baptist Church of La Mirada, California, has finished his 6-part series on divine impassibility, or as our confession states, the Lord our God is a most pure spirit, invisible without body, parts, or passions. Renihan lays out his outline for each part of the series, expects clear definitions, much clearing of the brush, what to do with troublesome biblical language, a lot of Puritan quotations, and refreshing doxologies. You can listen to the series on sermon audio, from which we provided the RSS, or below, so we listed each one there. So you'll definitely want to check that out. As you'll know, he's the editor of the God Without Passions, so we've been mentioning how his intro in that book is very helpful. So in this, he kind of gives that, he explains it, and he really expounds on it a whole lot and gives a lot of application. So, for example, the last 2 in the series, one of them is just personal applications to this doctrine, and then the last one is pastoral implications. So check that out.
And on Tuesday we had our interview and on the Confessing Baptist again. So this one was with a PCA pastor, Jason. Presbyterian anyway.
Yeah, it's PCA.
But yeah, Zach Eswin on the book Spurgeon's Sorrow, and it was a good interview. For the comments, again, we really appreciate you listeners, you readers, commenters. Give us a little background, some context. So it's really good. So here's sort of things that we talked about with disasters on Spurgeon's Sorrows, and it was really about depression. Let me see. You know, realistic hope for the depression. So it's why a book on depression, kind of unique, right? For Christians, what kinds of depression does Spurgeon experience, and how did they shape him? How did he talk about them, and how did he practically deal with them? And then the importance of poetic language when talking about depression. So, any more you want to add on there, Jason?
Not really. It was interesting. After the interview, well, as I was reading the book, there was one point where he mentioned a small grave, and I thought he had lost children, which is what I was kind of asking him when I was asking him about personal tragedies in his own life. I don't think that was the case, though. When he mentioned that, it was so vivid to me because I remember in my own life seeing small graves for my own children that I've had to bury already, and just how vivid that imagery was, and what a flood of emotions it brings back. But after the interview, I learned that his wife had left him, and this was after he was helping at another church. A fellow pastor with him, his mentor, who helped him, who was a pastor somewhere else, he committed suicide. So he went to that church to help them in that time. And man, he has been through some very tough stuff, some very tough situations. I can't remember if it was during that time or before that time. His wife decided to, basically walk away from Jesus and walk away from him. So he's now, a single father dealing with all this stuff. So he has experienced a lot of this. So when he's telling you he looked to these men to walk through hard times, it has been some very hard times he has gone through. So it made me appreciate the book so much more. And he is just such an excellent writer. When you're reading it, it's just very poetic writing. He's very good at the imagery. You could tell he's also read Spurgeon for that. He's good at those kind of pithy sayings and I guess wordplay and things like that. So I love the interview. So I was really thankful that Pastor Zach Eswine took the time to interview us with that. And actually, we are giving away 2 of those books. This is an excellent book, and like I was saying in the interview, don't think like, oh, I'm not depressed or I don't face that or anything like that. You should read this to really become more sympathetic with other people who may lean that way or get in times of depression, or you yourself, it may happen to you one day. So I think it's just really helpful stuff. What's that, dude? I have a bad connection with you. You're like cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can you hear me? Is my stuff breaking
Yeah,
up?
good. It's delayed,
Okay.
but yeah, it's a
Yeah, no,
bad
it's
connection for sure.
the connection's acting really weird. Yeah, it's being really weird. Oh well, let's just keep going.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I guess it would be me. Well, the next one I see here is a post by Al Martin. Although this isn't an audio, here he's just talking about
What
error.
it is.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is because this was a post about a snippet um, from a
Right,
snippet from his systematic theology, which is
right.
titled "Here We" that Chapel Library offers. I believe it's over 100 audios or something like that. It's very extensive. Definitely want to check that out. And he starts off talking about error and the danger of error and what error can lead you to and why we should be sober-minded and why our mind should be renewed and how we fight against error, and that is with truth. So he gives you a lot of encouragement to know the truth, to hear the truth, and to believe the truth, and to grasp it, and to live it out. So really excellent post. I was really excited to find the systematic theology study from Al Martin. So y'all can check that out as well.
And then next up, we have an interview from it was featuring Tom Askell, and he was interviewed on Mortification of Spin about Calvinism in the SBC. It was really good. They pick on him a little bit, and he picks back on them. So it was a good short interview. I can't remember. Carl Truman is one of the, was there Amy Bird, and then the
Todd
host.
Pruitt.
I can't remember his name.
Todd Pruitt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Todd Pruitt. And then after that, we have the they're giving away. It says they're giving away. It's a free at the website for Alliance Confession of Evangelicals. Is a Dr. Roger Nicole on the 5 points of Calvinism from a 1974 Philadelphia. So, and I think I have some of his books, Roger Nicole, and I think he uses or prefers the acronym ROSE. I think. Have you heard the audio yet, Jason? I haven't heard the audio
I have
yet.
not. No, I haven't.
Okay.
I
think he goes.
The Alliance has a really strange checkout system. I've tried several different browsers and computers. I can never get it to work for me. So I've never actually successfully been able to download anything from them. Not a very user-friendly system. Whatever.
All right, so the last audio video. So let's go to opinions now.
Yes, opinion post. So here was the first one we'd featured was advice to young pastors. This is Conrad Bayway and Ken Jones. And as I say that, I see a pretty face I haven't seen in a while that just showed up. What's up, Javi?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
I don't have a good connection, I think.
You know, we don't have a good connection either. I think this episode is going to be full of a lot of choppiness and blank spaces and us talking over each other, unfortunately. But that's the Dunker Bunker for you.
It's the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did y'all stay home today?
I was already planning to.
Oh no, I'm going in.
Off, so.
I'm going in later.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working from home today. So I didn't go in. Anyway, I just thought I'd say hello and join you guys for a little bit. I know you were in the middle of saying something, so
yeah. Feel free to chime in whenever.
Continue. You may continue.
All right. We are in the opinion pieces. We're talking about the post of advice to young pastors, and this was a little snippet from the Gospel Coalition. They had asked Conrad Bayway and Ken Jones and some other pastors the question, in addition to Scripture and sound doctrine, what should young pastors today be studying? Is that any different from what you would have recommended 20 years ago or even 10 years ago? So both answers are just about a paragraph long. So as Junior would say, it's hobby length. Although I've never heard him say that's a hobby on his face, but here he is now. Would you still say that, Junior?
Yeah.
I've heard it on
Hobby Link article. Yeah. Hobby Link article.
Whatever.
That's funny. Well, speaking of the danger of error, Junior, you want to tell us about this next post from Pastor Tom
Right.
Hicks?
Yeah. Why? So this again from Tom Hicks. Why is denying justification such a serious error? And you know what? This should kind of ask Reformed Baptist. I just thought of that when I read it. But so this came up. If you're aware, something happened at the Gospel Coalition website, and then I heard it was taken down by a Baptist person, a person of Baptist Baptist Alliance, I guess. But anyway, yeah, and he was evangelicals and Catholics together. So anyway, so Tom Hicks talks about scriptural reasons denying justification is a serious error. Number one, to deny justification is to deny the heart of the gospel. Number two, to deny justification is to stumble. Number three, to deny justification is to receive the Bible's curse. And then number four, to deny justification is an offense that warrants church discipline. Bam! So Jason, justification, right? That's what some people might say. And then, yeah, let me continue on a little bit. So, wow, I just heard myself.
Yeah, something's very weird with this connection.
Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, you're echoing now.
Oh well, just try to keep going. We can't do anything.
So so read that on Tom Hicks on justification that came out on a missing article now on the web.
Another post by Sam Renahan was titled "Moral versus Modern Use of the Judicial Law in the 1689 Confession." And this was by Sam Renahan, as I said, and he gives a public service announcement. If you're reading the Second London Baptist Confession of Faith, and in Chapter 19, Paragraph 4 of your copy, it says that the general equity of the Israelite judicial laws are of modern use, then you're probably reading an edition copied from Charles Spurgeon's 1855 reprint. And it's interesting because he pointed out that commonly some versions of the 1689 online use that version, even though that's not the original wording that they use. Putting aside the reason for the change, you should know that modern is not the original reading. It should read moral instead of modern. And he points out all the various confessions that was in. It's interesting because that post started turning into like this textual criticism on the confession post. He scanned a lot of documents and showed that up. One of the reasons that I think that got brought up and that is important is because if you heard the McDermott versus J.D. Hall theonomy debate, that was actually brought up. Dr. Joel McDermott said the following. It also makes a difference which one of the London Baptist confessions you're reading. Are you reading the original that says the general equity of the judicial is of moral use only, or are you reading the latter edition which changed it to say they're of modern use only, which opens the door wide to the same theonomic view as the Westminster Confession? So obviously, Joel McDermott has a lot of presuppositions there and a lot of stuff that I personally think that is unproven. I think he's kind of being anachronistic, and he's also assuming, he's implying, and I actually showed him this post on Twitter, and he replied back that it was wrong. And I asked him, which edition were you talking about that changed before Charles Spurgeon? Because that's the claim he was making. From what we see, what we know, there were none. And he was replying a lot to me up until I asked him that question. He hasn't replied back. It could be he's just doing research and getting the source. I don't know. But I don't know if he can answer that question. Him and myself, and I know Sam Renahan even tried to say, we'd be interested to see what that was. As far as we know, it's moral use. And some people were like, it doesn't really make a difference if it's moral or modern. And in one sense, that's kind of true because the confession itself makes a division of the law in other places. So the whole context would show it's definitely not a theonomic document, right? But anyways, what did you guys think about that post? I know, Javi, you were specifically interested in that question as well, right?
Yeah, I just never heard it. How do I take my picture off? There. I just never heard it. And I'd never heard that. And so when he mentioned it, I kind of, because I listened to the theonomy debate one night, and I decided to email them and ask them specifically about it. I didn't intend necessarily for it to, it was just a private email, but it was good to know. So we posted it on the site, and it was really helpful. And I think it seemed a little misleading because I think the assumption is there is that basically what you said, it seemed a little anachronistic. But I mean, I guess that's where you have to carefully define theonomy and Christian Reconstruction and everything else, dominionism, all that stuff. So I know I saw the Twitter exchange you had with him, and I thought that was interesting because he just said it's straight up wrong. And so I kind of refreshed Twitter last night before bed, and I was looking to see if he said anything else, and he hadn't. So I would be interested as well just to see the more interaction between him and the post by Mr. Sam Renihan um, about it.
Indeed. Maybe one day we'll see. He has been posting a lot of post-debate stuff on American Vision.
Yeah, he seems to be on the defensive. I mean, in my observations, it seems that way. He's posting a lot more than even the guys over at Pulpit and Pin. But whatever, I guess. I mean, I saw a funny tweet by Phil Johnson to J.D. Hall and to John McDermott. I was like, whoa. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah.
What he said. I was kind of like, man. But it's tensions seem pretty high.
Indeed. Yeah, if you heard Dr. James White's last dividing line, he starts off saying, like, oh, I'm not going to talk about the theonomic debate or whatever, and then he talks about it for about 30 minutes about why he's not going to talk about it. It's actually kind of funny. But one of the things he mentioned is just like how vile it gets, and he said he warned JD like after the debate, man, just watch out, it's gonna come. So, but thankfully, not all posts on the theonomy debate have been what we might categorized as vile, right, Junior?
Well, wait. So,
wait.
Just real quick, I appreciated Sam's post. In the comments, there was a pastor on Sam's original post, not on our site.
All right.
There's a comment from a pastor who was interviewing somebody else, I guess from the office, and they made a comment about Infantstein and infancy, and they found out that that person being interviewed was talking about Spurgeon's confession and not the original 1689. So. I mean, it's neat to see these little differences. So, so don't use Spurgeon, y'all.
yeah. Spurgeon did change it. I mean, same thing with his catechism. It's
his catechism.
He just like if you go to several pastors have done it since then. Like they took the catechism, they tweaked it to their own liking, which is fine.
Right.
They gave it to their church and said this is how we explain it more. And Spurgeon, his changes of, for example, the Infantstein and infancy, that does fit in with the original wording of that. I guess he just wanted to be more explicit and say which side he was on about that. So, which is he has the liberty to do that. But every time you change a confession, you get away from.
Right.
I guess the original, and it becomes a less ecumenical document, right? So.
Less ecumenical and less cohesive, maybe. You start pulling at strings. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's really one consistent document. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is something that Carl Trueman in his book, The Creedal Imperative, talks about when he deals with the question of updating confessions and things like that. So a lot of stuff to consider when you do that. So.
And that's something I learned from Dr. Jim Renihan is that we need to read confession as a
sideways
comprehensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what he said? That's how he says it, right? Sideways.
Horizontally. Don't just go in. I mean, it's the same way we would read the Bible, right? We don't just go in and read one verse and forget the context or how things are connected.
Right. So. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, so the other post about that debate was from J.D. Hall from C.J. Engel and Brandon Adams, and this is over at reformedlibertarian.com. They did I guess it's a PDF booklet, but they did review the debate, and so they have their table of contents for the PDF. Intro and overview, the classic threefold division, Samuel Rutherford, the Westminster Confession of Faith and practical versus hermeneutical theonomy, general equity versus particular equity, William Perkins and general equity, Old Covenant abolished, are they just? Particular Baptist theonomist, ? And then conclusion. So there's that. That's out there as well. And I'm in the boat as same boat as James White. Like I didn't watch it or listen to it, and I'm not really interested. But I know Javi is, so I'll talk more about it. Also on that same post, they have 2 books coming out: The Reformed Libertarian Manifesto, and then By God's Standard, a Confessional Baptist Rejection of Theonomy. And you can get updates on those books by signing up on their website, and we've linked to that on our site. But those books will be available, I think, on Amazon. So.
Yeah, this post was extremely helpful to me, especially the section on practical versus hermeneutical theonomy. and those distinctions just extremely helpful. And they answer a lot of the questions soon and deal with a lot of the quotes that Joel McDermott. It's interesting because during the debate, Joel McDermott makes a lot of implications and quotes from Reformed Baptists saying that they're theonomists just like me. Listen to what they're saying, things like that. These guys interact with a lot of what they're saying, and also gets into covenant theology, even things like that. So it's when you see any article from C.J. Ingle or from Brandon Adams, it's always thorough. So when you put them two together, boom, you get a 25-page PDF. So, but it's excellent stuff. Very, very good. Very well worth your time if you're interested in the subject. So. With that, we had another post. I featured a lot of posts this week because there wasn't a lot of news. And last week I featured no posts, like no just general blog. So I featured a lot. But then some news stuff started coming out. So I was like, man, there's so much I'm posting. But anyways, this one is why James White is thankful to be a Reformed Baptist. This was a really good little post. He mentioned several things. One of the main things he brought out was the consistency of his confession, especially in his line of work of defending the faith in apologetics. He's saying, I don't got to backpedal on any doctrines because it's a cohesive whole. Just like we were talking about earlier, the confession. It's a cohesive document. So he's saying that's one of the reasons he's thankful to be a Reformed Baptist is the consistency of his faith. And so he closes with this. So the next time you eye that big fancy church down the road on your way to your Reformed Baptist church, consider this: the value of the consistency of divine truth. The treasure of having a firm foundation upon which to live a God-honoring life is truly priceless. So, but with that, we get into our Ask Reformed Baptist, which Junior, you wrote a what some people were, well, I guess had mixed feelings about. You want to tell us about?
Yeah, so it's an FAQ, right? It's a common question. What is the relationship of Anabaptist to Baptist? And it depends on who you ask. Like a lot of Paedo-Baptists will say, well, they're the same thing. Baptists are Baptists, and that's what they were accused of in the 17th century, right, 1600s. So if you look at the Confessions of Faith of English Baptists, both general and particular, they'll say falsely called Anabaptist. So they're called that.
Yeah.
And then also, it doesn't help that certain people in Fort Worth, Jason, want to trace their roots to Anabaptists.
Oh yeah, certain people, yeah.
That doesn't help.
At a certain seminary?
A certain seminary, yeah, an SBC seminary. So it doesn't help. But if you on a surface level, like you can understand it. But if you look at history, that doesn't work out. You look at history, and then if you dig deeper into the doctrine, so regardless of how you feel about the Anabaptist, whether their theology was good or bad, regardless of that, their theology was definitely different than that of Baptist in England, both general and particular Baptist. So here's what Errol Holtz had to say, and I'll end up with this. This is from his book, Who Are the Puritans, and What Do They Teach? It's on page 188. As Professors James McGoldrick, in his book, Baptist Successionism, A Crucial Question in Baptist History, and Michael Haykin, in his book, Kiffin, Knowles, and Keach, Rediscovering English Baptist Heritage, have shown historical evidence is lacking to prove a connection between the continental Anabaptists of the 16th century and the English Baptists. So there's more there on the post, on the article. There's plenty of links, and then who's the guy? Spurgeon.org. What's his name again?
Phil Johnson.
Spurgeon.org. Phil Johnson. He has plenty of links to the original Anabaptist sources, so he links to them. But so basically, historically and then theologically, you can't link the two. I mean, it's service level stuff. So they're different people groups. And again, we linked to some interviews from Dr. Jim Ranahan and Dr. Michael Haykin. Michael Haykin was really good. His audio goes in and out sometimes. Jim Ranahan, we interviewed him, and then we have other sermon audios from him as well. Linked to other sermon audios from him as well. But yeah, so it's neat that these three groups arose independently of each other. I think so chronologically, the Anabaptists came first, and then the General Baptists, and then the particular Baptists. But it's not like they were subdivisions of the same group of people. These are just different people coming to similar conclusions about who should be baptized, and that's really about it.
Yep. Very helpful stuff. So a lot of people found that helpful, and some didn't. So, but I think the ones that didn't were Anabaptists. But anyways, well, with that, let's get on to the Baptibots. Really, the only podcast besides ours that came out this week I already talked about is A.O. Min not commenting on the Down and Debate for like half an hour, and a review of the new Ad Council promotion of ethical and moral chaos. And he's talking about the love has no boundaries, love commercial, which you'll probably see everywhere. It sounds like our own tax dollars paid for it. So very interesting stuff there. That was really the only podcast. So Judy, you want to mention some of the blogs that were posted?
Yeah, so let you know about the Baptibot. So I try to pick like 5 or 6. I don't want to go too long on the Baptibot feeds that were posted. So you listeners, you readers, you all really need to get the Baptibot feed or the Baptibot Twitter account and follow those two. They're really good. So again, this isn't even the highlights. This is just a shortened version of what came out last week. Mark Nenadov at All Things Expounded, a new paper on Otis Robinson of Maine. Jeff Riddle at Stylos, Compassion for a Lame Man, dealing with 2 Samuel 9. Matthew Claridge at Credo Magazine, an interview with Dr. Haken and Dr. Robinson on Calvinist missiology. Southern Districts Reformed Baptist Church, the Cro-Magnon Christian, a good devotional piece. And again, there's a whole bunch more out there, y'all. Now, there's so much, like I couldn't choose to limit myself, so y'all need to get the Baptibot Twitter account, follow that. If you don't have Twitter, get the Baptibot feed, RSS feed, because there's so much going on out there. There's too much to list, and y'all just really need to get that.
Indeed, good stuff. As far as some Twitter highlights, there was a ton, so I'm going to do a quick overview of some of these. Man, I mean, so many. Actually, here's one question that came in a couple of weeks ago, but I forgot to ask it on Twitter. Can you guys point me to a hardcover edition of the 1689? I can't seem to find one anywhere. The only one I could think of was the Solid Ground edition.
Yep.
That their old leather edition. It's out of print now, so you might be able to find a used copy. Could you guys think of any other ones or no?
That would be the only one I could think of.
Okay. Well, if any of you listeners know, send us a note and we'll tweet this guy back and let him know. Or if you have one for sale, maybe you got the newer one and you like it better. Help a brother out. Joe Thorne, Pastor Joe Thorne, said the 69 is now on my blog. Most of the online versions I've seen are kind of ugly. So he put a nice version out on his blog. Free ebook, Lectures to My Students, C.H. Spurgeon, available in EPUB, Mobi, PDF formats. That's from Monergism Books. Jeremy Walker informed us that he is nearly done. He's putting the finishing touches on his forthcoming book, Passing Through, Pilgrim Life in the Wilderness. So that's the first time I've heard of the title. And I knew he was writing a book on the Pilgrim life, but there's a title, Passing Through, Pilgrim Life in the Wilderness. So we're looking forward to that. Let's see here. What else we got? Philip Holmes, talking about ethnicity and marriage on the RAND network. Also, he was on their last podcast, and he talked about how he kind of became a confessional Baptist, a Reformed Baptist, and what he's doing now. He kind of stepped down a little bit from working with the Reformed African American Network. He was the vice president. He's still going to contribute from time to time, but it sounds like he's going to be starting a kind of Christian worldview ministry or a website or something like that. So it's still in the early stages. He says he's thinking about it, but that was a really interesting interview if you haven't heard that one yet. So I'll link to that. Oh man, lots and lots of stuff here. Let me kind of go through these.
That was a good week for Reformed Baptists.
That was a good week for Reformed Baptists. Yeah. Here is some breaking news from the Midwest Baptist Theological Seminary. The guys who currently have the Spurgeon Library. The Psalter used for the Treasury of David, that famous commentary from Spurgeon, has been found. So they found his Psalter, and it's interesting because they have a lot of pictures from it. They kind of put his notes, or you kind of see the notes from Spurgeon's handwriting, and then you see, oh, that's what got into the Treasury of David. So they link the two and show how it's conclusively the one he used, whatever. So kind of interesting.
So that's going to be published? They found it, so will it be published, I guess?
I don't know. I think it's just a general Psalter, like another, but it's the one he used. Like, it has his notes. Like, I guess before Mortimer Adler had to read a book, he was already doing that kind of stuff, taking notes in his books.
Right.
So he's a nerd like that. Logos is currently having their March Madness head-off thing, and there's a couple of Reformed Baptists there that you can vote on. That's always a kind of weird, interesting, strange thing, but some people are into that. Oh man, lots of stuff. Yeah, Tom Askell, he was interviewed by 3 apostate Baptists on Mortification of Spin. He mentioned that was kind of funny. There is a new course on the Institute for Reformed Baptist Studies Continuing Education, Preaching Christ from All of Scripture, New Testament Biblical Theology. That's now online. on today's broadcast of Family Life. It has Vodi Bakum, Philip Holmes, and both their wives talking about dating and how all that process worked. So that's kind of interesting because Philip Holmes married Vodi Bakum's daughter, so they talk about their interaction and how all that played. Let's see, what else do we got here? Quotes, 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 quotes. Yep, that's really it. So with that, giveaways, as we mentioned, I still have not picked the 4 giveaway winners for the Family Theology book, that massive tome. I still need to pick that. I'll probably get around to it next week. It's been a little crazy. I also need to put out a post for the interview we talked about on Tuesday, Spurgeon's Sorrow, Realistic Hope for Those Who Suffer from Depression. An excellent book. I love that book. I want to get so many of those and give them out. But we are going to give away 2 of those. That will be a continental U.S. only, so sorry Canadians and other people. But we're not really that sorry. Just kidding. But be on the lookout for that. So with that, you guys got anything else?
Not really. Someone's going really far for a while.
That's
He's going for the summer. He's going for the summer, right?
hopefully.
Summer and fall.
We have no idea how long we're going to be in Minnesota. We're moving there tomorrow. It's going to be from at least 3 months. We're guessing it might be around 6. It could be more. It all just depends.
So here I was thinking you were going to be gone for 2 years.
2 years? Whoa.
Yeah. Yesterday I was driving home and I was like, man, it's gonna be a lot different with them not in Texas. And then Vanessa was like saying how she was gonna cry when she talked to your wife today. They're only gone for 6 months. I thought it was a lot longer.
No, yeah. Hopefully it's just 6 months. It could be less or could be more. It depends on how the surgery goes. So.
So okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I thought, but I mean, either way, I mean, keep, just for our listeners. I know we don't talk too much about we do. I was to say we don't talk too much about our lives, but just keep Jason in prayer. They're driving up there. The weather's been, I don't know how it is up there, but it's been pretty crazy here the last few days. So
Yeah, it's been crazy.
we would appreciate that, and he'll be leaving Texas for a few months. I don't know how he's gonna survive, but yeah.
Yeah, knowing I was leaving Texas, I appreciate that. Knowing I was leaving Texas, I've been loading up on. I've had menudo for 3 meals in the last 2 days. I had some frozen Chico's tacos brought to me last night. Oh man,
Oh, cool.
That's an El Paso only tradition. Not even all Texans don't appreciate.
Nope.
That. And on the way out, I'm planning on getting Whataburger.
There you
Oh,
go.
yes.
That's perfect. So you're set. When are y'all leaving? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning. Yep, first thing. So I'll be
Wow.
putting out this post and packing the rest of the time.
Well, no, I guess we're done.
Cool. All right, Junior, you want to roll that beautiful bean footage?
Okay, y'all have a great day, have a great morning, great afternoon, great evening
Bye, y'all.
to you. Have a good Lord's Day.
Peace.